Hi, it's Anna Mason, and in this watercolour tip video, I wanted to show you how I paint the red curved petals of these sweet peas so that they have 3D form and vibrant dark colour. I based my painting on a photo I took, and I created a fairly basic contour drawing marking only the outer edge of the petals and the darkest of veins. I then began painting in a pale pink wash to cover my light pink petals, but I used some of the same wash to paint in the lightest areas within my darkest petals too. I've flipped my painting and the photo on its side so that you can see more clearly what I'm painting. Next, I applied a wash with my larger brush that was a paler version of the dark pinky red of the petals. I used a really bright Scarlet Lake red with some permanent rose pink and a touch of yellow in there too. But I kept my mix pretty pale because there were a few flecks of lighter tones within the darker red colour. I worked around the lighter pink areas I'd painted before, and it was apparent straight away once I'd painted this mix next to them that those light areas were way too light. So I watered my red mix down and I added in some of the pink I'd used before to apply another layer over those lighter patches. Once that was dry, I used a smaller brush to apply a much darker mix of permanent alizarin crimson, which I darkened even more with a little Payne's grey and burnt sienna. I only applied this to the very darkest areas, which were the veins and the edges, using the tip of my brush to create hardline edges where I needed them. Now I had the darkest and lightest tones painted, I began work on the darker midtones by using my medium-sized brush and a slightly diluted version of my darkest tone mix. I marked out the significant darker patch here, but feathered the edge of it with my brush so that I could achieve a textured but graduated transition into the slightly lighter colours around it. Then I made a brighter mix of permanent rose, opera rose, which is really bright, and some yellow to match to the slightly lighter midtones, and I applied this to all areas this tone or darker. I stippled my brush as I applied the paint to reflect the textured look on the petal. I held off from applying to the lighter areas, and I feathered the edges of those areas as I painted there. Because the way we perceive tone depends upon the tones that we see around it, I can now see just how much darker I need to take my lightest tones. So I adjusted them now with a more watery and more pink wash. I applied this over the feathered edges that I'd painted around them so that they slightly blended. Once those lightest tones were darkened, it was clear that my darkest tones needed to be darkened some more to bring them back in balance. And this is also the time to add in some more veins with the dark mix. Getting their angles right gives the extra shape to the petal. So with the full tonal range of the petals painted, we have a 3D look. And as they're some of the darkest tones in the whole composition, getting them painted now made it easier to judge the tonal range needed in the lighter pink petals and even the leaves in the stem as I went on to paint them. I hope this tip video will have you tackle some shapely petals yourself. A full step-by-step tutorial of these sweet peas is available now in my online school. If you've enjoyed this tip video, please visit annamasonart.com where you can sign up for a free step-by-step tutorial, check out the equipment I recommend, view more tip videos, get inspired by my portfolio and lots more. Thanks for watching.